Hello!
Hello!
Welcome to the first episode of Season 2 of Growing Up for Adults.
Which is going to be fantastic.
Yes, we are so excited that you are here. If you didn't catch the little snippet on social media of what we're going to be talking about this season, I highly recommend you go look at that.
Yeah, we're going to have... Today's going to be a guest, or a solo episode between Leanna and I. But we do have guest speakers on this season, which is really exciting.
It is exciting, and they're full of a bunch of information.
Yeah, next week Josh is going to come on and talk about online romance and dating out of state.
Yes,
so.
and all the good things and finding love and all the fun stuff. Yeah. So, this mini series is going to be on relationships, and we want to start off the episode with content that is not ours, but that we have grown atrociously addicted to.
Yeah. We're talking about Love is Blind, people. We call that trash TV.
Trash TV, yes.
And I'm sort of addicted to it.
I'm very addicted.
Kind of like a train wreck. I can't stop watching.
Can I tell how we got addicted? Okay,
yeah.
I watched it before, but we took a trip to Mexico a few months ago, and we watched the Love is Blind Mexico, or South America.
It was Mexico.
It was Mexico,
yeah.
Okay. Version. And it was so juicy and so gritty, and there was so much drama about relationships, and we're like, oh my god, I'm addicted. And so now we watch it religiously all the time. I'm watching this 7th season. I think I just finished that, actually.
I'm watching the UK version.
Anyways, so that's what sparked our conversation today on this first episode is
Toxic relationships.
Yeah.
Which you will see if you watch Love is Blind.
Yes. And some actually turn out to be really good.
Some are good. Yeah, you can tell. I think
those.
Almost immediately. And maybe it's just us that could tell. I feel like everybody can tell, though. Some people you're like, oh, they have a good thing going. Like that. I like how she, said what she wanted and she held him to that. And if that wasn't what she wanted, she walked away. Mm-hmm. I like that she did that. Mm-hmm. But you'll see people say, this is what I want. And then completely choose somebody the opposite of what they said they wanted.
Just because they want it.
Just because they're there.
It's
so you
crazy.
picked me, so I guess I'll take you.
It's so crazy to me because I think that some people go, I know, Lord knows I've done this in relationships in the past.
Me too.
Where I'm like, I want love. I want companionship.
Yeah, I just want to be alone.
I want marriage. If you didn't listen to season 1, we both talk about our failed marriages. So,
yeah,
there's that. But, I want all these things, but I think that we have it backwards sometimes. It's like, yes, you can want love. Yes, you can want a marriage. Yes, you can want companionship. But you need to be finding the person first to do that with. Point blank, period. That's my 2 cents.
What amazes me as a society and myself as well, like I'm not excluded from this, is that people all the time will not even stop to consider, like, what is it that I actually want? Mm-hmm. What's good for me, and what do I know is not good for me?
Right.
What am I willing to accept, and what do I know because of my history will not work, and I don't want to repeat? Make a list. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like that's a huge tool you could use. Make a list of the qualities that you want in a partner, a person that you want to spend the rest of your life with.
Right.
Not just a person that, they wanted me, so I guess
it must be true love.
Yep. Must be meant to be.
He said he loved me, or she said she loved me. And I've heard more so because I've been watching Love is Blind for a couple of years. And so what I've noticed over the past few seasons is that the girl or the guy will ask, when somebody says, oh, I just love you so much, she or he will be like, but why? And that is such a powerful question in a relationship when you ask that person, why do you love me?
Yeah. Do you love me because of the things that I do for you?
Right.
Or because I'm pretty?
Or because I'm feeling a void for you that you
like
haven't been able to find yet. Like, that is a huge thing in relationships. And that's why I think it's important how you said, like, make your list. Know what you truly want. And I think the things that can't be on there, and I might get some flack for this, are love, companionship, and marriage. Like, You can
That
want
goes without
those.
saying.
You can want those, but why do you want
Well,
those? Like,
and if
dig
you're
deeper.
with the person that you actually like, that you want to spend time with, those things are going to come automatically.
natural. Yeah.
Like, you're automatically going to love and respect and like this person. You're automatically going to have companionship
Yes.
and love
Yes.
and a future. But it doesn't necessarily come with somebody that's not good for you.
Right.
Or somebody that you don't even like.
So, like, it's flipped backwards. Like, you find the person, you dig deep with them, you learn them, they learn you, you guys form a bond, and then the next step is the love and the companionship and the, hopefully, marriage.
In a perfect world.
Yeah. Yeah, in a perfect world. But let's talk about that.
I think the biggest toxic trait right now, like having talked about this with you just now, is not asking yourself what you want.
Yes.
Like,
That's the first toxic
and if
trait.
you're in a toxic relationship, know that it is not the other person. Like, you played a role in that too. You
Absolutely.
have accepted where you are.
We've all heard the saying, it takes two to tango. I mean, that's legit.
I had some help. That song?
It's a country song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Not a big country fan.
But-
Sorry.
well, it's what's his name? He's not a country singer. What's his name? Oh. I said my brain was working.
Somebody
today.
posted in the comments. She'll
Yeah.
she'll probably blurt it out later when I'm saying something significant.
Yeah, it'll come to me.
But yeah, so I think that's one big toxic trait that people have going into relationships is just not knowing what the fuck they want. And Lord knows I've done that several more times than I'd like to admit.
So let's just kind of like touch on some of the toxic traits and then let's dive deep into
Cool.
them. So, not knowing what you want.
Not knowing what I think honesty,
Yeah, lying is a
Lying.
big one.
like a bunch of things can encompass honesty, which is obviously lying. That's the first thing you think of, but then you dig deeper and it's like the cheating, and then like the going too far. Like, social media is huge and anybody can reach out to anybody, and so I think like that's another thing that happened with Love is
Boundaries.
Blind. Yes, boundaries, like or lack thereof, and things like that. And
Accepting things you don't want to accept.
yeah, that's outside of the honesty part. What would you kind of umbrella that under? Like maybe a codependency type thing?
Codependency, maybe. Yeah, because when you don't want to be alone, you're willing to accept things that you wouldn't normally.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I heard somebody say, this is probably random branching off here, but I heard somebody say online, I want to find a partner who, if she was a girl, she'd be my best friend.
Yes.
And I was like, I love that.
Yes, your partner should feel like your best friend.
That's why there's lesbians, people. I get it. I get it. Because it's like your best girlfriend.
Plus your partner that you get to
Yeah.
be intimate with.
Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
I mean, whether you're gay, straight, or whatever, no judgment. I don't have any preference, and I
Neither
don't
do
care
I.
what your preference is. Find your person that you can be, that's your best friend.
Yeah.
Like, that you can have fun with, that you can have good conversations with, because that's what it's all about. If you're going to be with this person forever, you don't want to get bored. Pretty
Right.
wears off, people.
Yeah, right. Things sag. Yeah, so I think that's true. That codependency can be, you can like spending time with your person, like you said, but I think that there's a fine line between wanting to spend time with somebody and needing to spend time with somebody.
Yes. Neediness can be a toxic trait all on its own, which is codependency.
Yeah. But, so to kind of go back to the first umbrella, which is honesty. Let's say you have a partner who is like, I didn't want to do this thing the other night, so I told them that we had plans. And the other partner is like, oh my God, why did you lie?
You've incriminated
Now
me.
I am an accomplice to
am
your
a
lie. Has a show of hands, if you're listening, show of hands or comment below if you've ever been a part of that, because I have in the past for sure. And my mind went to where I was like, oh my gosh, because I'm a girl and that's what we do. I mean, maybe dudes do this too, but my mind went like, oh my God, if you felt like that little white lie wasn't that bad, what other shit are you possibly
What have you
lying
lied to
about?
me about?
What is the white lies? If you feel like that's not so bad, like what else have you done?
And I mean, really, like, those white lies aren't bad, but I would choose radical honesty over any white lie.
Right, that's true. So, see, you just solved that problem for me. I could have used that information in the past. Where were you? I'm just kidding.
Sorry. Timing is
But
everything.
anyways, yeah, I think that's a good note to that person is telling you, hey, I told this lie, like, just letting you know that it happened. I'm a shitty liar, though, so if that person had asked me, like, oh, how was that thing you guys did on Wednesday night? How did that go? Or whatever. And I would have been like, it was great.
So good.
It was amazing. Yeah, thanks for asking.
I feel like people can pick up on the vibes too. Even if you're a good liar, like you feel a little off about it, like, oh, that felt weird.
Yeah. Oh,
But I mean, why do people
anyways,
lie?
And then
in
why do people?
relationships?
Yeah, why do people?
And
lie?
sometimes they're not white lies. Sometimes they're big lies.
Mm-hmm. Like the
So,
cheating.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge big lie.
Yeah.
Or the intention of cheating. That's a huge lie to me too. Like if you're talking to a person with intention to do something not so good, like that to me is already there.
Well, you're lying to yourself. You're lying to your partner.
Yeah.
You know, and people do that for so many reasons. You know,
Right.
they have wounds. Like a lot of cheating is trying to fill a void.
Mm.
Like, I need to prove that I'm pretty enough or handsome enough or cool enough or that I could get this person.
What if we looked at cheating and lying as like, because obviously it's negative, hear me out before you come in the comments, but what if we look at cheating and lying as not something negative, but something that,
Symptom of the disease.
yes, yeah, something that is a coping mechanism for
Which-
that person.
Yeah, which it
I
is.
mean, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's kind of where my mind
Not
turned.
that makes it okay, and that
Does
if you're
not.
with a partner who's lying and cheating, that doesn't mean that
You
their
have to go through
wounds
that.
are not your responsibility. Okay? Let me just start there. Because you can have a partner that you see why they're doing the things that they're doing, and you understand it, but it's still hurting you.
Mm-hmm.
You still deserve to be with a person that is going to do the work. And if they're trying and they're honestly doing the work, hey, see it, and you want to see it through and see what happens. See if they can get better.
Right.
But if they're not doing the work and they're just telling you they're gonna do the work, or they don't know why they are the way they are, or they just are the way they
That's a lie
are,
too.
then exit stage left, man. Like,
To
life
the
is
left, to the
too
left.
short to be with somebody that is hurting you.
Right.
Like, you don't deserve to be hurt all the time.
No.
That's not okay.
No. And you know,
That's
totally
a
side-
trait in a toxic
that's a-
relationship too.
is
Allowing
being with somebody
people to
who's-
hurt you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, whether that's like you feel like you don't deserve somebody that's going to treat you good, or you don't know that that there are people that are going to treat you good that exist because your only experience has been with
It's been with
negative
this
people.
person.
But that means you have work to do too.
Yeah.
So start doing the work on yourself.
Right. And to go back to the, it's a coping skill, it's a mechanism. I always, the reason why I thought of that when I was thinking, through this episode is because, so I'm going to relate it to my job because I always do, and that's, how it works. And
Talk about what you know.
when people lie, a huge percentage of the time, and I don't know the statistics, they don't feel safe. That's what it is. They do not
They're trying to
feel
protect themselves or someone
safe in the situation to be able to share the truth. Think about a child who lies
else. Yeah. They've gotten in
because
trouble.
they're scared to
Yeah.
get in trouble.
Yeah. They've gotten in trouble. They learned, okay, if they know that I did this, I'm going to get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble.
So I'm gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like that's where it stems from. It sits in that child chair. I don't know if you guys have read
The adult chair.
The adult chair.
I started reading it. I haven't
Yeah.
finished it yet.
Anyways, read that great resource. But they're sitting in that child chair and they're thinking, I'm gonna get in trouble, so my coping skill right now is to lie about it so that I can avoid getting in trouble. But where their mind doesn't go is the repercussions of the lie if they're caught.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're sitting, and
or
they're-
they think like
they're
they're
sitting
willing
in
to
that.
risk it. That
Yeah.
I feel so unsafe that I'm willing to risk that.
That I'm willing to risk the repercussions, right?
Or
And
they've gotten away with lying so many times that they think, I won't get caught.
And that, too, is a coping skill,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, a really bad one, but coping skill. So, us as partners, for partners that lie, I think the best thing to do is to make that person feel safe. And again, there's a caveat. If you are consistently getting lied to and you don't want to be in that relationship anymore, please leave. You know, like, do what you can. I mean, in a safe manner. I don't, you know, we can go into the whole thing about domestic violence, but that's, if it's a safe relationship, you know, please do yourself a favor and, you know, commit to yourself in that moment, whatever that looks like. But if you're willing...
If it's not a safe relationship, also please leave. Just do it in a safe way.
Yes. So, thanks for noting that. Yeah. But, I think that if you want to work with that person on this issue of dishonesty, then the one thing you can do to support them is make them feel safe. Mm-hmm. So I've also had relationships where I've done that and it's been successful. Like, instead of saying, why did you lie to me? Say, why do you feel the need to lie? Like, it's just that couple of words.
And the tone of voice, too. Like, being actually curious. Like, do you know why you lie about it? Like, I just want to do some internal reflection because, like, I know the truth now and the world hasn't ended and you could have just told me that.
Right. And I'm still here sitting with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think showing that person too, like, I'm still here with you right now, even when I've learned the truth. Mm-hmm. So, and that's powerful on its own. That's a way to create safe culture on its own.
And you standing up and saying you don't want to be lied to anymore and having these conversations, setting this boundary that you don't want to be lied to anymore. And if you're willing to do the work, like, I'll work with you, that feels powerful too.
For you, yeah. For both of you, really.
And let's be clear, like, you can have some of these traits in a healthy relationship. Like, no relationship is perfect. We've said that a million times, but it's true. Like, you can have one or more of these toxic traits in an otherwise good relationship.
Right.
Because there's going to be kinks, there's going to be problems. Not those kind of kinks. Get your minds out of the gutter. But when the problem in toxic relationships is when the toxicity becomes the main theme of your relationship.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, a thing
and
that
it's
happens
the constant. Yeah, it's the constant, right?
If you're in a state of, like, anxiety all the time.
Ugh, hate that feeling. Can we just get that feeling?
Everybody, let's take a deep breath.
Were we just triggered? Anyways, yeah.
Let's move on. Oh, wait, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say let's move on too, because honestly, you know, that's the main gist of honesty or dishonesty is just having that person feel safe, working through that problem if it's safe for you, and if if y'all are willing to do the work. I mean, you could even talk to somebody about it and they can work through this with you, but you know, it's as simple as that.
Do we want to have a separate cheating conversation, or
do you? Let me hear what you got to say about it, because I've actually been. I think I might have said this on a previous episode in season 1, but I've been cheated on and been the cheater, so I understand both sides to the story. You do too.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we should have a conversation for those who are willing to.
Culture is a part of cheating in today's day and age, because nobody has any faith that you can just be with one person forever. There are some people that don't believe in monogamy anymore. And I think my stance on it is I am never a till death do us part person. I am as long as I'm good for you and you're good for me and we're continuing to grow together.
Okay, I see that.
That's my stance.
Yeah.
And if things I think a lot of times people cheat because things in their relationship get bad and they don't want to call it.
What do you think of, like, I think the word that is burning in my head is communication. Because I've also had a semi-open relationship, too. There's just a little tea for you. I've had, I've had one of those semi-open relationships. And, if you watch...
I never tried that.
If you watch the Mormon Wives series, she goes in depth on what that looks like.
I'm kind of curious. I might have to check that show out.
So it's not full sex. It's all the other things. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Anyways,
I would not.
another
I would not be able to do
episode.
it, guys.
Another episode. I am not willing to do that in this current relationship, but in a past relationship, yes, I have. And it was very interesting. And the one thing that made it successful until it wasn't, and that's a whole other episode, is the communication.
Mm-hmm.
So,
honesty, communication.
yeah.
I think communication is a big thing, and a lot of people don't know how to communicate, and that's a problem. But I think sometimes cheating it's more than a communication issue. Sometimes it's just a compulsive, like, I don't love myself issue.
Yes.
Because if you don't love yourself, you can love other people when you don't love yourself, but you're not going to love them at the capacity that you could if you did love yourself, because the things that you do to yourself is going to spill over to them.
Right. Or at the capacity that they need. Mm-hmm. And at that point, that's just saying, like, you're not loving me like I need in that moment. And,
mm-hmm.
This is what I got to do about it. So it's like communication and boundaries and all that. But the straight up cheating thing, if it happens, it's again that lie situation. You find out, you ask yourself if you're willing to work through that with that person. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, you go.
And that's your decision, too. It doesn't matter what your friends or family have to say. Like, if you love a person and you want to keep trying and it's not out of your system yet, keep trying. Mm-hmm. But recognize that you don't have to do that. It is your choice. And if you do want to walk away, you have every right. And what's so funny about it is people that get cheated on and they leave, they feel bad for the person that they leave. They feel horrible for hurting them. But they have made this situation. Mm-hmm. That's so interesting to me. Like, the psychology behind breaking up. Like, fascinating.
Well, because you still have emotions tied to that
mm-hmm.
that person.
Yeah.
And so the breakup is hard because of your emotions. Mm-hmm. It's disconnecting those emotions and and I've said this before, it's task versus relationship. That's what it is.
Set aside the emotions, finish the task.
And then grieve.
Yeah. Which is hard to do, especially if you don't have practice. Yeah. I have a lot of practice at disassociating because trauma. It's a gift of trauma, actually.
I know. I always say it's a blessing. It's a blessing and a curse. Yeah. It is. But I think it can be used as a tool in something like leaving somebody who you absolutely love, but that is not good for you. And recognizing that is a strength, by the way.
Or if you're codependent, which we should get into.
Yes.
Because I just read this book, Codependency No More.
Yeah.
Everyone should read this because I feel like everybody is a little bit codependent.
Probably. Yeah.
Some more than others. I'm not as codependent as I thought I was reading this book, but I definitely have some codependency issues. But it's a big thing when you're codependent. So, like, let's give people an example. What does it mean to be codependent? Okay. Are you constantly worried about where your partner is? Are you constantly trying to control what your partner does? Where they're going, what they're saying? Like you can't leave them alone. You don't want to leave town because you don't want to leave them in town home alone. Or you don't want to go off and make your own plans with your girlfriends because you don't want to leave your partner. Like, those are codependency traits. Or, like, control was a big one. That was a big one for me because that's a trauma response for me. Mm-hmm. I want to control everything because it makes me feel safe, which you can't really control anything. That's an illusion. But you try to control everything and everyone around you. Mm-hmm. So when you're trying to control everybody, it's because you don't trust that if you didn't control them, that they would do what you wanted them to do.
But then it's all a big facade, and you're just hurting yourself.
Let people do what they want to do, and you'll see what that is.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. In one of my previous relationships, that was actually like the man said to me, you're going to do what you're going to do, and you're going to do what you want to do, and I can't control that. And I was like, for me to hear that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I do have some choice in this. Obviously, I was not that was probably the worst place I was in mentally in my life after addiction, or life after, in recovery. That was probably the worst place. So to hear that really helped me develop some skills with, going back to the what I want and what I expect and things like that. But when you were saying listing out all those things, it made me real happy because I could say no to most of that.
That's good. You know what I learned about codependency? That being a child of alcoholic parents is like a precursor to codependency, because you grow up in this state where you're trying to control everything and make it safe.
Yeah.
And then you end up in these unhealthy relationships and you're trying to control everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up codependent. Like, you're dependent on this person even though, like, you're the one that's controlling everything.
Interesting.
Isn't it like a topsy-turvy thing? Like,
yeah, catch-22. Yeah.
I'm dependent on you, but you don't see that I'm dependent on you because I'm controlling everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, controlling, in quotes. You know, like,
yeah.
I'm telling you what you can and cannot do. I'm making all of our plans. I'm not leaving you alone to your own devices, but I'm dependent on you.
Right. Oh, it's such a catch-22.
Yeah.
So did the book talk about how, because now that we're sitting in all this place of codependency, did the book talk about, or did you revelate?
Have a revelation?
That? Something?
I don't know. Is revelate a word? It is now.
The verb would be revelate, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyways, hung up on that, squirrel. Did the book talk about anything, or did you find out anything about how to get past that?
So it talks a lot about recognizing when you're exhibiting the traits of codependency. So it's like having some self-awareness and practicing letting go.
Okay.
Like, that's a big one. And then allowing people to be who they are and do what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And having a higher power that you trust is going to see you through the tough times.
Okay.
Because if you don't have a higher power that you believe in, then you feel like you're all alone on this.
That's true.
But if you have some faith in yourself or in a higher power that, you know what, I'm strong enough to get through this no matter what happens.
And you got my back.
I got me, he's got me. Then if this relationship ends, it's okay.
Yeah. And I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. And that takes some practice. And even just having that conversation with yourself, like running through a list of like, okay, worst case scenario, this whole thing blows up. What can I do to be okay?
You know what's funny is I think my relationship is not by any means not toxic or unhealthy or anything. This is probably the most healthiest relationship I've ever been in. But I still do a checks and balances like that.
Well, and that's
what if
good.
this ends tomorrow? What am I going to? How am I going to be?
Sometimes that's like I'm paranoid, but that's you not having faith.
Yeah.
But when you run through the list, like if you flip it into a positive,
I do.
Like,
it's usually a positive.
What can I do to be okay if it does end?
Yeah.
Then that's empowering
That's
instead of
kind
like
of
panicked.
Yeah, no, it's
You're
not.
empowered.
It never comes from. Thank you for pointing that out, because it never comes from any situation. It never comes from any negative. It comes from like a positive. Like, do I still have it? Like up here and up right here.
Well, and when you've gone through relationships that haven't worked out, you've learned that relationships don't work out. That's what your brain has learned. It's what your subconscious has learned.
Yeah.
So when you're in a healthy relationship for the first time,
Ever.
your brain and your subconscious will still be like, oh, it's going to end. Oh, it's going to end. Yep. And you have to kind of teach yourself new tools and new tactics to exist in a healthy environment instead of like an environment that was toxic that you knew you were going to have to leave.
Yeah. And I don't do it every day. It's probably been like once or twice a year, that I'll just be like, oh, what if this happens? And then I'm like, you're not going to fool me today.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. God, I had a good thought when you were talking about codependency and I forgot it.
It might come back.
It probably will.
So let's think about let's think like when we were growing up, the most toxic relationships that you saw in like friends or relatives or like close people around you. What did that look like?
All I can think about is my own, because I was in a toxic relationship from like 14 to 19.
Mm-hmm. Where drugs were involved and alcohol
Yeah,
was
I've talked about all of
and...
that. It was all the things. It was all like everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Like there was physical, emotional abuse. There was drug abuse. There was...
Well, and when when all of the boxes are filled with toxins, essentially, it's not going to make a healthy cake.
No.
So that would make sense.
I don't even think we were even wise enough to make the damn cake. I think we were just trying to grit and like barrel through. Yeah. And so when I think of that, it really, first off, I have a sense of gratitude to where I'm at today because I know that that relationship was a catalyst to my growth and development.
Mm-hmm.
So I always have to be positive.
Learn from it. You know what I mean?
I always have to be positive and say that it was something that I needed to go through in order to get where I'm at today, in order to share this with you.
But you know what? There's people that don't learn from those, and they just repeat them over and over again.
And they feel like they need to. And Lord knows, since 19 to I'm almost 37, so almost 20 years later, I would have certain relationships that had certain traits of that relationship. Mm-hmm. And so, that's part of the growing pains, mm-hmm. right?
If you find yourself dating the same person but with a different face,
mm-hmm.
you're stuck in a loop and there's something you still haven't learned.
Yeah.
That you're still putting up with that you don't need to put up with.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I see people do that. I have one friend that I'm thinking of specifically, and he knows what he wants, what he's looking for in a partner, and refuses to say no to things that are not that.
Really?
Like, I'll ask him, I'll be like, okay, what are you looking for in a girl? Well, I want her to have kids. I want to have kids. I want her to, be kind of a homebody and not a barfly. I want her to, want to go do outdoors things and, be cool and honest and doesn't cheat. He'll list all these things, and then you'll see him dating somebody that's a barfly that has 6 kids and is fixed now. Has
like the complete opposite of the whole list.
And I'm like, that's not what you want. So say no to that.
It might go back to, I want the love. I want the marriage.
Yeah.
I want the companionship. It might go back to that.
If you're saying yes to the wrong person, that person is going to be in the right person's spot. There's going to be no room for the right person to come.
Right. And I'm wondering too if like it does a disservice for both people, like you said, because that spot is filled for not the right person to come in,
and then you end up in a toxic relationship because you're with somebody that you don't actually want to be with.
And then I'm wondering,
that's why people pick fights in relationships.
I'm wondering if it goes back to what we were talking about, is because you're learning that person first. I think that's the first step. Is when you meet somebody, you're not checking a box right on the first date. You're easing in and you're getting to know them and you're getting to know their qualities. And then you question yourself and say, like let's say a bad quality comes out, like as you're learning that person. And then you can question yourself and say, can I deal with that? Am I okay with that behavior?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can slowly check your boxes, like, okay, this is maybe a behavior that I can't deal with. Let's play it out and see that person's actions.
See, but I have a problem. I fall in love quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I am not paying attention to what it is that I want in a person and have in my forefront of my brain, like, what I'm not willing to accept, then I fall in love with the person.
Mm-hmm.
And realize later, like, oh, they didn't fill all these boxes. Like, these were boxes that I wanted that you didn't fill.
And the boxes kind of go to the wayside.
Yeah, oh, well, you know what? I love them so much. It's okay.
It's okay.
And then 5 years down the road, you're like, it's not okay. These things that I was overlooking at the beginning are the things that have become the thing the reasons it won't work.
Yeah, I've done that too.
Which isn't a waste of time, because you learn valuable information. You meet people through other relationships. You know what I mean? Like, think of all the friends you've made through dating Dylan.
Right.
Like, it's never a waste of time to be in a relationship that doesn't work out, because you're learning something and it's taking you to that next step. So I want to just touch on that for people that feel like they are.
You're like, wow, I've wasted 10 years of my life now.
Like, oh, bad relationship after bad relationship. I just give up. I'm not going to do this. And you know what? If you're in that space, take a year. I might write a book about this, actually. Like, take a year off of dating. Mm-hmm. Like, cold turkey. Be celibate, because sex turns into a relationship, especially if you're a girl.
Yeah, true that.
Like, take a year off. Get to know who you are when you're alone, which is hard. It is really,
hard
really
to be
hard.
Alone.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But you know what? You will learn so freaking much if you just spend some time with yourself, figure out who you are when you're alone, what's important to you, and learning that, you know what? I can be okay by myself.
Yeah.
And
I
actually,
even do that
fun.
in a relationship, honestly.
And then when you get with a partner, you're like, with somebody that meshes with who you are.
Right.
With the life that you're living and that you want to live. And not just a person that's filling an empty hole that you have.
Right.
Because that's toxic, guys.
It is.
And that sucks. It's not fun.
And we don't want anybody to be there.
And time is your most valuable commodity. You will run out of time. Time is finite. And you want to spend it with somebody that's not making your life better, that's actually making your life miserable. You're having a miserable life because you don't want to walk away from a person that you know is not good for you. Mm-hmm. Walk away. There are many, many humans in the world. If that
There's
person's
plenty
not
of fish
good
in
for
the
you,
sea.
there really is. Like, there's millions of people in this world. You think the one that you're with is the only one that's going to make you happy? He's not even making you happy.
Or she.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's good to note. And also, just like you said, like, learn yourself.
Yeah, figure out who you are, what you want.
Learn what you want. Work through that relationship slowly. I think that was the best thing that I could have ever done
like
in this
you and
relationship.
Dylan not moving in right away. Like, that's healthy.
Shoot, we're over 3 years in and we still don't live together.
Me and Wade moved in together after like 3 months, which is not healthy, people. I mean, it's worked out, but it's not healthy.
Yeah, I mean, depending on your situation, I think that. But I think we did all of the right things now that set us up for success. Mm-hmm. And I'm truly, truly grateful for that. And I'm also especially grateful for that because now I can share this knowledge with other people. Mm-hmm. That it works to go slow, and that it works to learn that person, and that it works to really dive deep into yourself and understand like what you're truly wanting. Mm-hmm. And I have grown in this relationship more than I've grown outside of any relationships, like even single. So that tells me that something's working. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That tells me that something's working. When you can feel good and just feel comfortable and feel safe, that's what's working.
And relationships are supposed to be a space where you can grow and learn.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't find a person where things are perfect.
And it's true with like friendships and family relationships and things too. So just not kind of talking about significant others, but everybody.
Do we have any resources for people that are in a dangerous situation that want to get out?
I think that there's a domestic violence hotline.
There's a crisis hotline, I can tell you that.
Okay.
For sure, that I just saved that number. There's a crisis hotline for Arizona, and I'll give you that phone number.
Whoever pulls up first.
The crisis hotline for Arizona is 1-844-534-4673, 24/7, anytime, any crisis outside a person's ability to cope. It's free. There's a crisis task force. So if you need to call, like, you need help, you're in crisis, you don't want to call the police, you don't want to call the hospital, whatever, you can call this number, and if they need to send a task force to you, they will.
That's awesome. And then the National Domestic Violence Hotline, so it's national, is going to be 800, so 800-799 7233. So 800-799-7233. They also have a text line, and you can text 88788. And then they also have a chat on the website that you can look. So if you just Google
same with the crisis hotline too.
Domestic violence hotline, you'll be able to get to them anywhere.
And they have actual tools, like people that have been through this, people that have escaped it, people that know what you're going through can talk you through what to do.
And I have a lot of local resources because I am a local social worker here in the area. So if anybody needs to reach out and private message me or message us at Growing Up for Adults to get some resources for being in a domestic violent relationship or an unhealthy relationship, go ahead and do that. I'm always willing to share resources and information that I use in my work life for people who need it outside of that.
I mostly just know, like, there's hope. There are beautiful relationships out there. Yes. You deserve to be treated well. Mm-hmm. I mean, even if you are part of the problem, you can do the work and you can change what it is you're attracted to. You can change what it is that you're willing to accept. Mm-hmm. You can change how you treat people so that they treat you better. You can change a lot about yourself and grow and find somebody who has done the growth that you've done and have a good, healthy relationship. Yes. And that doesn't sound like some boring thing where you're sitting, quietly, not talking to each other.
Oh, no, me and Dylan have so much fun.
Yeah, like, it can be whatever it is you want it to be.
Yes.
and that exists, and you deserve it.
Amen to that.
Anything else to add?
I don't think so. I think that was a good way to wrap it up. Go ahead, and if you've listened all the way through, we very much appreciate you for
Send
doing
it
that.
to anybody that is struggling in their relationship
Yep.
right now that maybe needs to hear this.
Yep, definitely. And then give us feedback, like, comment, share. Do anything you can to support us in our growth as well as support you in your growth.
We really are just trying to help, so the more you guys can share this message with people, the more that helps us to get the word out there and to just better help people.
Yeah.
And the more feedback you guys give us, like what do you want to hear, if there's something you would like, or if you think there's a person that's good for the podcast that you'd like us to have on, or you are that person and you would like to come on. You know, I'd love to have an expert on like toxic relationships or
Right.
or domestic violence or something, come on and talk. So if you're that person or you know that person, shoot them our way.
Yes.
Or any
So-
of the things, really.
Yeah,
If you're
any
a
of the
growth
things.
person, come our way. We'll have
Yes.
you on the podcast. It's really not that exclusive. If you have something to share, we would like for you to share it. We'd like to be your microphone.
Yes, definitely. So thank everybody for listening to our first episode of the second season. There is a lot more to come.
Oh my God, so much.
So please keep listening.
Subscribe, people.
Yes, subscribe, Spotify. I guess that's it.
Yeah.
That's a wrap.
All
That's a
right.
wrap for episode 1, season 2, and we look forward to seeing everybody for the rest of the season.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
See you soon.
Bye.